Look at this fun fact. Did you know that your blood vessels taken together add up to 100,000 kilometers, enough to wrap them around the planet twice? One of our favorite fun facts used in our book and app and a video and… wait. 100,000 kilometers is like a lot. We've used it so often, but where did we get this number from? And how do we know it's true? Welcome to an epic research riddle that took us well over a year to figure out and led us on a strange and baffling journey. It began extremely innocently. We always collect interesting and fun facts to make our stories more colorful. And this one was just perfect. All of your blood vessels twice around the world. Small thing, big number. Wow! But one day, someone asked where this number was actually from. Did it really matter though? Because it had to be true. If you Google variations of how long are your blood vessels put together, you'll find the same numbers over and over, 100,000 kilometers or 60,000 miles. You find it in books, blogs, web pages of educational institutions, or lecture notes, reviews, scientific papers and articles. We ourselves have used it multiple times. So it couldn't be that hard to find the source, right? Right? The first perplexing thing we noticed was that not a single one of the many websites, books or articles quoted the original source. Most didn't give a source at all, some linked to each other. It seemed like the number was just accepted as a truism. Very weird. Even worse and more suspicious was that the number was used inconsistently. Some said it's the total length of capillaries, some said it's just veins plus arteries, and others cited it as the length of everything put together. Something wasn't right. We couldn't let this go. Getting our facts straight is critical for what we do here, and since we've used this fact ourselves a few times, this now felt personal. We needed to find the original source and solve this research riddle. There had to be an original source. Random Googling just turned up thousands of sites that quoted the number, no lead to the original. So we moved on to PubMed, a search engine for biomedical science papers. 0 results. Okay, weird. Maybe if we tried a few different keyword combinations. Nothing. Okay, finally, we found a bunch of scientific papers, but still, not a single one referenced the original source. The number also showed up in 2 different biology textbooks. We contacted the authors, but they told us that the number has been circulating for decades and that they'd also be curious to know where it comes from. Maybe we needed to go back to the olden days. So we narrowed our search to the last few decades, starting with the 1990s. And would you look at that, we found 2 books, Vital Circuits by Stephen Vogel and Looking at the Body by David Suzuki. And it turned out Dr. Suzuki is an OG science communicator with a PhD in zoology who started doing popular programming in the 1970s on Canadian television. He has 29 honorary degrees and has written 52 books. Impressive. He may either be the original source or at least know what it is. So we ordered Looking at the Body to look for it, and here it is. If all the body's blood vessels were laid end to end, they would stretch 96,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles. That's about 2.5 times around the world. But again, no source. It turned out he's still around doing things in his late 80s, so we thought maybe if we asked Dr. Suzuki personally, he might know where the number's from. He had no public email, but a personal inquiry is possible by writing a letter to Dr. Suzuki. Very old school, very respectable. So we wrote a letter. Dear Dr. Suzuki, we're writing to you on a matter of grave importance. What is the original source for the 100,000 kilometers? Our internet video and our sanity depend on it. Pretty please. Respectfully yours, Kurzgesagt Fact Checkers. 3 weeks later, we actually got a reply. Dear weird internet people. Unfortunately, Dr. Suzuki does not recall the source of this data. And since the book was written over 30 years ago, he doesn't have files that old available to look it up. Good luck with your project. You're going to need it. Kind regards, Public Information Coordinator. Okay, they didn't quite use these words and were actually really nice, but still, bummer. Maybe the 1992 popular science book by Stephen Vogel, a Duke University biomechanics professor, would be more helpful. It has this sentence. Combined length of pipes 100,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles, more than twice around the Earth at the equator. So the book talks about this on one of its 300 pages. But where is the source? Unfortunately, there's only a list of 93 references and sources with no indication where in the book they're pointing to. Our original source may be in one of the papers, books and articles in this list. Ouch! Reading all of those would take weeks. Was this really worth it? Or had we got lost in the forest of human knowledge looking for answers to questions nobody's asking and nobody cares about? But we'd wasted so much time already, so we decided to just do that one by one. And now, for a change, we just got stupidly lucky. For no particular reason, we decided to check the sources from last to first, and it turned out the very source we checked first was what we were looking for. A Scientific American article from 1959, The Microcirculation of the Blood. So we got a scan of this 65-year-old science magazine, and there it was. But this was still not the original source. But it did reference where it got the number from. The Anatomy and Physiology of Capillaries, a 1922 book by August Kroll, winner of a Nobel Prize for Medicine. He probably knew what he was talking about. So we ordered his book and, bingo, we got the original source. The book is a collection of Kroll's lectures and was highly praised by experts at the time. It summarizes his research and adds new experiments, ideas and hypotheses.